It's Healthy Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Tokpe Mark Odige, and with me, as usual, are the ladies. Good morning, Mariam.
Good morning.
I don't know. I love it.
Thank you.
I love you're the girly person. We really needed a fashionista. Cinderella of the show.
That's
the Naomi Campbell of the show. People recognize you for that, though. Like, they tweet at Andrew in straight time.
You're not the only one. So somebody called me and said, "You are wearing Miriam's cap."
Yes.
It's not Miriam's cap, or if I like it, I buy it for myself. So I'm saying it officially now.
But what's wrong with sharing cap?
I don't know.
Just share.
Exactly.
The official sharing person. If
I don't share. If I like it, I buy it.
Yes, BC doesn't
And
share. So know the person that
me.
borrows. I'm the borrower. She buys.
She's
She's
the
the buyer. How you doing?
Yesterday was such a good day. I met an 11-year-old girl,
A fan?
a fan of Your View,
Wow.
who took me on Your View topics.
Really?
Man, although she's based abroad, her name is Hannah Goje. She's 11-year-old, a very, very smart girl. I was talking to her mom on the phone and she saw my picture. I was like, isn't that woman on Your View, the hijab lady and her daughter? Because that's the picture on my DP. And her mom said, okay, they calls back. And then I said, okay, you watch Your View. What's your best hot topic? She remembered about 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Our hot topic, the one on the 7-year-old, the underage marriage.
Yeah.
And she took, wow. I was more than impressed because every day you find Your View children who know Your View. I know you. My mommy used to watch you. I know the song, but this girl sits through.
And
Shows on YouTube.
So we have to be careful.
On
what we say
YouTube,
on
and
the
I must
show.
shout out to her mom, Tosin Jayoba. Her mom is
love
also
you, Hannah,
partnering me, Hannah Goje.
We love you, Hannah
Well
Goje.
done. Keep being...
Her
We
mom is
love to have you in
also
Nigeria.
partnering me to do some charity work in the hospitals in Nigeria, in Lagos. So well done, Hannah. Well done for raising such a beautiful girl, Tosin.
Yeah.
Brilliant mind. Well done.
Really nice. Mariam, anything happened yesterday that we should know of?
No, nothing happened.
just
really.
us.
Is there something that I should know?
I'm just
about?
wondering, you have this look, this serene look. Oga must have done something. Mariam, you see, you just have this
Breakfast
look of
show,
calmness
breakfast
that
show.
I suspect that something, it is
No,
good
I
news
look all the
load.
time.
Oh,
But I
really?
love your hair. You look
Oh,
really
thank you. Tony did something, and I think we're getting it little by little.
I'm good. I'm all right. So yesterday I was home. I watched you guys on the show. I was admiring you people. Then I put in a lot of work. So what I did was I wrote my to-do list because I realized I always get distracted with social media. So while I'm working, I'll just quickly look at Instagram. Have they seen my picture? Have they liked? How many likes? I'll move on. Facebook, I'll move on Twitter. So yesterday I said I wasn't going to be distracted because I'm planning my project, and so I have a lot to do. So I put down 6 items which I did not know were heavy items because it involved writing and rewriting and editing and all of that. How can I put 6 in one day? I want to kill myself. I ended up doing only 4. Then later I was feeling bad. Yeah, I was feeling bad that I did not achieve my goal.
No,
I
you
just
went
realized
far.
the goal was too much.
Just that you did one, so that I can go out. You know
I
that
did
my
4,
style.
4 is good. 4 you got over 50%,
Yes,
which
next
is
time
good.
I'll just do 4 or 3.
Yeah,
something
coach
I
now.
can. Yeah.
You know. I'm
How are you?
I'm good. I'm very happy. So there's this popular book. Apparently, I did not know why it became popular. It's Small Business, Big Money by Akin Alabi, who Naira Bet now, a member of the the Federal House of Assembly. And I found the book in traffic, and my friend Olamide bought it. And she made all of us buy it. Now, I started reading yesterday. I'm halfway through.
It's
and I'm
interesting.
like, it is a
Loaded.
book on business for every Nigerian. So I know people in Nigeria, I read international books, and you hear dollars, tax, all those ones. It's different when you're reading a businessman in Nigeria writing about the challenges. So I think that people that struggle with business should search for knowledge, buy books to help you learn, and read them. Because the solution you seek is in a book that you have not read.
Because when you finish that book,
When
when
we return, we'll look into the top stories of today. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Major headline in the nation, where we're starting off the paper review for today. COVID-19. 158 aboard plane with Italian can't be traced. Sanwo-Olu raises the alarm. Lagos schools for hand washing. New cases in Egypt, Algeria. We have discovered its cure. I'm curious about that, though. INEC proposes 34 changes to Electoral Act. Lawmakers for retreat. Osun reverts to 6334 education policy. Same uniform scrapped. Buhari, Tinubu, Abiodun greets Adeboye at 78. He's truthful. Kaduna village to Buhari, save us. We counted 51 bodies. El Rufai promises death for bandits. Presidency, government will sustain offensive against bandits. And so what story are we taking? The 158 people that we can't find?
Yeah, well, not all of them. So the Italian man, of course, he came with other passengers. Okay. And they said they were able to track a few, but there are a few others who probably didn't give the right number. Their numbers are switched off. And some who probably was their first visit to Nigeria, so they do not have Nigerian numbers yet. Oh. But the government is positive, and they said that there are ways that they can trace them. But there are some that came, stayed a day or two, and have left. Yeah. So they are, obviously the government is working hard to contain this thing and track those that they can track. And we just hope that the ones that have left to other countries will be checked at the airports in the various countries that they go to.
So my prayer is that people should volunteer themselves. At least you might not everybody had physical one-on-one contact.
Because some people say because his picture is not out there. So many people, how many co-passengers would you recognize?
They know the dates. They came, the flight, it was a Turkish airline that came on the 25th. Yes. So anybody that arrived that day should just go and submit himself and just say, I'm free, I'm good. Yes.
The Osun State governor, even though it was part of the last administration, has decided to reverse his former principal's educational policies. So he's reversed from the 4534 to the 6334, which was the old order that the former governor Aregbesola moved away from, and also reversed the one uniform for the entire state policy that he had in education to every school's identity.
I really want to interview the man. Because I feel I'm not happy about it because I really want continuity, but I also want to understand why he did it, so I don't want to judge.
No, a lot of people in Osun State were against it at the time when Aregbe did it. It took just a few number of people to understand what Aregbe's rationale was. I see a lot of criticism, even recently, because he's reversed it. So maybe because of that, he has looked into it and decided to do what people want. But he retained the appointment.
So for me,
he retained some of them.
The 6334, I think it was better that was changed. But about the uniform, I don't know why it's a big deal to change it to different uniforms.
Like I said, I would like us to interview him. So anyone that knows the contact of the Osun State governor would like, I'm sure Nigerians want to know what happened. Kaduna, what happened in the Kaduna village?
Oh, over the weekend, almost 51 people, I think, were killed. Villages were ransacked in Igabi local government, and very sad. So according to residents and eyewitnesses, they said that they did not come, they didn't steal anything. They killed everyone. Women, men, children, and margeries, they just went for them. And a particular person said one of the things they kept saying is that you people have been giving information to security personnel. So previously, I think weeks before, police had attacked Boko Haram camps and also the military. So it's like a revenge.
God, we need to
the governor went to the place. They said he was visibly sad about the situation and says, really, this is their duty to protect the citizens, and that they will do everything to make sure, that they will do everything to make sure that this doesn't continue. The president also condoled with the family, the families of those who...
The best condolences to bring the conflict.
Finally, the governor has seen the futility of negotiating with bandits, so he's no longer the supporter.
Moving on to the Punch, major headline, coronavirus. Government faces difficulties in tracing Italian co-passengers. Passengers on the same flight with index case gave non-functional phone numbers, and federal government has ordered Turkish Airlines to place crew members under observation. And in other news, task force demolishes illegal structures at Mile 2. Osun monarch sues Oluwo, demand 100 million naira for assault. UCH running on 75 generators from the chief medical director. North Central won't form joint security outfit. That's from Nasarawa governor. Kwara, Saraki, out-of-court talks have collapsed. Council tells court. Hoodlums vandalize cars, steal parts in Lagos community. Diri visits Abeokuta, meets Obasanjo behind closed doors. Then in other news, we have Osun reverses single uniform, middle school, and retains Opoimo. Sacked Bayelsa deputy governor-elect wants to commit suicide. That's from Sylvia. Kaduna massacre. We won't negotiate with bandits, says El Rufai. Power distributors, revenue collection rises to 473 billion. What story are we taking first?
Residents in Koshefe, in Iketu, are complaining that hoodlums get into their environment and start stealing the parts of their vehicles. So what these hoodlums do is that they come in as they wear security uniform, police uniforms, and tell the security men that they are there to arrest some persons in the compound. So they are allowed in, they get in, they go in, and when they come with experts who know how to lose all of these brain bugs, all those engines in the car, they know how to lose them. So they vandalized about, this recent incident happened recently, and they vandalized about 13 vehicles. Wow. So people had to start calling, the mechanics had to start calling the residents that this is happening. So they are crying out and asking the security officials to come and help them solve this issue. Investigation is ongoing as we speak.
So what happened in Mautu?
Mautu, yesterday was demolition day. I'd like to take the story because the head of the task force was addressing that a 7-day ultimatum was given to all the shanties at Mautu bus stop to clear off before the demolition, unlike what people were spreading, and that they are also looking at people who have legitimate papers, which the governor has ordered that those people should be paid compensation. So if you have legitimate...
Can anybody have legitimate papers to build a shanty?
But obviously, based on the compensation plan, they're trying to take over that bus stop and control things. I applaud that. I do. I really do. I'd like it to be extended to under the bridge at Eric Moore as well. A lot at Marine Beach, a lot of other areas like that where you see these activities happening.
Shanties are hub for crime.
Yes.
So what's happening in Bayelsa?
Bayelsa State, the sacked deputy governor-elect is at risk of taking his own life now, according to the former governor of Bayelsa State, Timipre Silva. He's saying that, he's worried. He felt that the judgment was very unfair because the issue of the certificate forgery of the deputy governor-elect was not being tried criminally. What was happening was that, he just had a criminal sentence due to pre-election matters, and that right now is always checking up on him. He feels that, he wants to harm himself and is, at...
Moving on to Daily Sun, major headline.
It's a cause for concern.
Yes, it is.
Coronavirus. Air passengers to be sprayed disinfectant on arrival. Flights from volatile country targets. U.S. signs agreement with EWU's company. Education review policy. Osun reverses single uniform. We've taken that story. Casualization. Federal government read riot act to employers. Wish I read that story. Labor to picket banks and telecoms. 700 million naira money laundering. And in his name, echoed as court docs Eze Yamo. GT Bank posts 231 billion naira. PBT says future is bright. Supreme Court continues a Hedioha's review application today. Oyo gives Okada riders others 14-day ultimatum. So who has that story?
Yes, I have the story. So in Oyo State, their commercial vehicles and tricycles are known as Micra. So they've had this law where the commercial vehicles are supposed to be painted in the commercial colors of the state so that they can be able to differentiate them from the private vehicles and tricycles and Okada, whatever it is. So, but people have not been enforcing. The enforcement has not been there. People have not been, accepting to carry it out like that. So the government, the federal, Oyo State government has given 14-day ultimatum to the commercial drivers, commercial cyclist owners and tricycle owners that if they do not convert their colors to the commercial colors, they will be arrested. It's not going to find it funny with them. And it's also a way of, trying to differentiate and identify those who are in the state and the influx of all those external operators that come in and cause.
I really want us to take the story about the casualization of workers. It's a big issue. I have 2 people's contracts with me with communication companies, and it's terrible. I know someone that works in a bank but doesn't work in a bank because she's not a staff. She's just being paid salary, and the contract has expired, but she's still getting paid.
I love the fact that
they know there is no employment. People just take advantage of this, and there's nobody to cry out to, because when you cry out, your salary stops. Where would you get income from? So we need to be decisive. I read the story quickly, and
People
it's not as if the government is saying anything. Reading Riot Act doesn't mean anything. Unless you penalize people.
Now have negotiated salaries increment and
for themselves.
And they've kept quiet. They are the ones who should be picketing companies.
They are picketing telecoms and banks.
So that federal government would then, be able to implement it. Even though we are calling for foreign investors, we can't allow people to be enslaved in their own father's country.
Well, that's all we can take on Front Page Review for today. That story should be a hot topic. We'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll discuss our lineup of hot topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. According to a report, a community in Delta State is set to banish a young woman who was reported her daughter for allegedly raping and impregnating
her husband.
She reported her husband for allegedly raping and impregnating and procuring abortion for a 14-year-old daughter. Our Delta State correspondent visited the community and had full chat with this woman. Ikenna Amechi is on the phone with us right now to give us his own opinion of on ground what's happened in that place. Welcome to the show. Good morning, Ikenna. Okay, I think that the call dropped, so we're going to hold on a bit and see if we can reconnect with him. But Ikenna is our correspondent from Delta State, and he's had a chat with this woman. So, based on the story we heard, was that this woman, who was the mother of the 14-year-old girl, is about to be banished from her community in Delta State because she reported, and her husband has been arrested based on, she found out that her husband had impregnated her daughter several times, and they've had abortion after raping her.
She found out.
She found out. And so the community is saying that she shouldn't have reported, or why would they be banishing her? My question is to start from the place of, what should a woman do when she finds out this kind of thing? What's the first reaction? I know the first thing I would do be shock, but what will you do, or what would you advise a woman in this situation where she's found out that her daughter has been raped by her husband and she's carried out abortion before?
So I reacted when I saw the first story that broke, which was that she was, the villagers wanted to banish her, and they gave her a list of certain things that she was supposed to buy for them to do cleansing of the land and all of that. And I was wondering, why would a village want to do this sort of thing? Is it taboo for a man to have carnal knowledge of his daughter? And you are talking about banishing a woman for reporting. But then I read further, according to Premium Times, she was aware from the beginning of that assault. She was the one who took the girl to the hospital where she did the abortion.
This is why we want to find out more details. We have Ikenna is already on the phone now, and Ikenna would confirm, because Ikenna spoke to the woman. We heard the story and we're shocked. So Ikenna, is it true, according to what Obiajulu just said now? Are you with us, Ikenna? Good morning.
I'm with you. Good morning.
Great. Good to have you on the show. So Obiajulu just gave us this information that based on what we read on Premium Times, that she had knowledge of this thing ongoing, and that she participated in taking the girl to have an abortion done. Based on your conversation with the woman, was this true?
Well, I spoke with the woman extensively over the weekend, and she actually was in a very tearful mood when she was actually narrating the ordeal to me, because it's something that she should have actually been in the place of knowing before it got to the place that she had to, the girl had to be impregnated by the father, and then she took her to be aborted and all that. It doesn't have to get it because she was not actually aware until late. It started when the girl was like 8-9 years old. You can imagine the trauma the girl. And what the man actually does is that she drugs this girl in the night, and then we have the carnal knowledge of her. And then in the morning, the girl will feel weak, and she won't know what happens to her. And it went on like that. And the mother, because of the activities, when you have parents struggling, the man is an electrician, his shop is just right in front of them there, and the mother goes out to sell petty trading, and of course she comes back late in the night, and before then, the children must have gone to bed, and the father will be there doing all this stuff, and it has gone on like that without the mother noticing. And it happened one particular night that he was doing this and fiddling with the girl, and he fell. That's when the mother actually suspected, and by this time it is very, very far deeper. By this time, this girl has been having trauma. There's a time the girl told me, I talked to the girl, that she almost considered suicide, committing suicide, when people started talking about it in school and, of course, ridiculing her and all that. So the mother actually has the blame. But this time around, the community, they are living. She's not from Delta State, per se. She's from Enugu State. Okay. She actually lives in the community, Okwe. It's an outskirts of Asaba here, still in Asaba, the Delta State capital. The community, they said they want cleansing of their community. So they brought out a list of things she got to buy, like goats, so many things that are listed there, which the woman cannot afford.
Based on is the cleansing supposed to be carried out by her or the man that carried out the evil activity?
The man is in jail.
Now, the man is actually behind bars as we speak. Now, the case is still in court. So the man definitely could not be reached. But the only person they can reach in the community is the wife. And for the wife, she can't get any of her relations to actually come to do all those things. So they said the wife must do it. And if she doesn't, she'll be banished from the community. She doesn't have to desecrate their community. That's what they are saying. And so, that's what actually got the attention of the public and then this group, which is a Behind Bar Initiative Foundation that got to the case, the human rights group that got to the case and brought the case to the forefront, which we're actually speaking about right now.
Yeah. Can I just please make this clear to me? Because one part of the story is that she's being punished or asked to bring all these things because she dared to report this man to the police. I want to know, is that the reason why, or this is to cleanse the community because of what her husband did to her daughter?
Actually, the community is actually not the community they are from. So it's not about it's about cleansing because of the fact that they brought this to the community, not about reporting to the police, because she wasn't the one that actually reported it to the police. She wasn't the one. It was when this group noticed it, the group said they can't let this be, and they reported to the police, and they took the girl away from the man, because if you report to the police and keep the girl there, definitely the act will continue. So they took the girl away from the man, and then before police investigated and all that, and they arrested the man, and the man is still in jail now, but the girl is in a facility. An NGO actually took up the girl, and they are treating similar cases, from Anambra and Delta State. And right now, the girl is there attending extramural classes and, of course, preparing for her jam. She said she wants to be a doctor. That's what she told me. She wants to be a doctor. And I said, and I acknowledged her. I actually turned a motivational speaker there and told her that she can still achieve her dreams. In spite of all that has happened, she can still go on and hold on to that dream of hers to achieving it. And, of course, by this NGO, with the help of this NGO, hopefully she will do that.
Ikena, for as far as I'm concerned, everybody is a victim, the girl, the mother, and the community. How much of psychosocial assistance is being given to the girl, aside taking her to a shelter? Are you aware of any constant counseling or therapy for her to walk her out of this trauma that she suffered, and her mom as well?
Well, I actually spoke with this human rights activist who is handling the case, and he said he has been, counseling, and of course that's what they do. They counsel ladies, young people that has been traumatized, those that are involved in one case or the other that have been, molested by their parents or someone close to them, and they are in the process. And of course, this NGO has come up with, with counseling, and if you see the girl, probably you won't see that she has actually gone past this stage of being that stage of being scared or being in her shield. She has actually come out to actually say all that happened, and I feel that the NGO has done a lot to counsel her. And what is very, very important for her and the parents now is the stigma they are suffering from that community. Everybody looking at them. Even when I went to that community to talk to them, you can see people standing in their doors talking about them. And the girl, when she went to her school, public school here, she said she's been, talked about in a way that she doesn't like and all that. So what is very essential for the family right now is to move that family out of that place. And for the mother too, she's been affected. She cannot even trade. Everywhere she goes, even in church, the people talk about her, gossiping and all that. So
Do they
it's
have
a really
other
trauma for the
children?
family.
Do they have other
Do you have other children?
Yeah, she has, that's the only girl she has, and there are three boys, two of them staying with her, and the other one is a grown-up, he's staying with them, maybe a relative outside of Delta State.
Thank you so much, Iken. I would release you now. Thank you for the details you've given to us. We'll continue the conversation after this short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we've all heard the pathetic story of what happened in Delta, where a woman discovered that her husband has been having carnal knowledge of her daughter for 6 years, apparently since when she was 8, and she didn't discover it until the girl was 14. There's been several cases of abortion, and after the report, she's been stigmatized, and that's what I think we should talk about now, because people tend to feel that we look at the person and see the acts on the victim. So how do we raise a more socially aware society that would feel compassion for the victim rather than pushing the victim out? Because now that girl is left with a group of other people that have gone through the same thing, and she can't integrate back with the society she's used to.
No, that's not pushing her out. That's creating home for her.
Yeah.
So they're taking her out of the dangerous circumstance, toxic environment she experienced this, and put her up in a place where she can recover and walk her through to get to closure. So that's what it is. It's not. But what the reporter was talking about, the stigma that she felt she suffered because everybody's turning and saying that's her, who's she, that's because of what the community requires is what we need to talk about. So people, of course, will find this shocking. People will talk about it. I think the counselors should also help us see through that as well. They might not necessarily be judging her as well. They might not necessarily be judging her. People might not necessarily be saying, I know she's a bad girl. She probably, no, because she was 8. Yeah. But people will, of course, turn every time. It's just like a golden fish. People would look, people would wonder, this kind of, I've never heard of it before. People would wonder. So because of that, you feel a lot of stare on you, eyes on you. And
would you advise you relocate?
I also think people would stigmatize. Totally. Yeah, yes. So I also think people will stigmatize. So your family she'll be, put in a box like you cannot marry from this house. This is a very Nigerian thing that happens. So they will know you, know your mother, and know all her siblings, and please don't ever go to that house. So I feel that they should be taken away from that community. Yes. So if there's any banishment, it's the community that needs to be banished, because the woman, if she cannot raise the things for the cleansing, they said she was a petty trader. She has gone through all these things. The community should come together and get the things and cleanse their land by themselves and find how to support her. And the way for that community to support her is probably have like their community meetings and let people understand and feel sympathy for what they have gone through, what their father, what the father has caused.
There are traditional ways of sorting out.
Let me just say this, what the father has caused them, because it's the father that has caused this. And that's another thing when we talk about victim shaming. We do it with people who have been raped. We need to do it also with pedophiles.
I agree.
You are the one that committed the act. You are the one who should be shamed and punished, not the victims of your act.
I'd like Obiajulu to walk us through being from Delta. What I understand traditionally is that there are traditional ways of dealing with this, ostracizing, banishing, and cleansing. There are traditional ways, and they're not necessarily bad. They sorted out Africans in the past, but because we are looking at modern ways of doing things now, we might just want to hate it. So let's understand what it is about.
Before Obiajulu would give us the breakdown of what the cleansing would be, let's take this phone call from Yakub. Good morning, welcome to the show. Yakub, are you on?
Sorry, we lost that. So this particular act is a taboo, and like every other taboo, what is expected is that there will be a proper traditional rites carried out to cleanse that community and cleanse that family. And one of the ways that they handle it is it's not something that you bring out to the fore. But what I blame, I think I'm going to be blaming a lot of people in this particular case, because according to Premium Times, this matter was reported to the pastor, their personal pastor. So the pastor was aware, the grandmother was aware, the siblings were aware, the brothers' relations, everybody was aware. So it was something that was ongoing for a while before somebody now mustered up courage to report the case.
police.
So everybody around, you know the way they whisper,
So it shouldn't be,
it's
she shouldn't be the one paying
the price for it. So that's right, that traditional rites, that cleansing should be carried out with or without her there. So that also has to do with the family members who are willing to stand up and go to the village, and pay for that and all of that. And they are supposed to be removed from that environment for cleansing.
What is cleansing?
We have tradition.
No, what is cleansing when a man defiled his daughter and then we're now cleansing the land? Or the best way to cleanse the land is to punish the man.
The man is already taking his punishment.
What was the traditional, if we're obeying tradition, what would have been the traditional model of dealing with this situation?
Not thank God that they went criminal.
I'm telling you.
If it was tradition,
his blood would have been the perfect cleansing for the land.
It's the same thing. Because what he has done is what they call Agwan. For abomination in African, and there are ways to go about it.
Yes, traditionally.
So we are thanking God now that we have criminal law system and civil law system to solve things. Yeah. This kind of person is even forest. Straight.
That they were abandoned into
so they know, and we cannot continue to condemn everything African because we have seen modern ways of doing things. There's always a rationale behind the ways our people behaved in the past. But what we are complaining about is that her inability to meet the terms that they are demanding of her. And you know, sometimes when they force those terms on a victim like the woman is supposed to be, it's because they sort of think that she's also to blame. This happens for such a long time. Yeah. How many mothers would have missed it for that long? So, you know, so they sort of feel that maybe she knew, maybe she was trying to cover up.
Yes.
And, you know, traditionally, they want to do
we've had cases
of
where women know that their husbands are doing this. Yeah. And then women know, but they are unable to speak up because they are scared of what would happen. They are scared of the backlash. They are scared of being seen as alone. They are scared of being seen as that woman whose husband, you know, that's the description, that woman whose husband was sleeping with. What would be the kind of help society would give to such a woman to make her feel willing to come up and openly say this is wrong? Because imagine, people are assuming that she knew about it. What if she didn't?
Exactly.
What if she didn't? She had no idea.
And that is another victimization that we do. So there's no how she couldn't have known. What kind of careless woman? So she's thinking, if I open my mouth and say this is what's happening, I'll already be judged. I've been judged already even before I open my mouth. So what we need to do is what we're doing now. We need to have that conversation. We need to speak to people. We had someone here who came one time and was talking to us of how she talks to secondary school children. And she gave us large numbers of young girls who were being abused by their fathers with their mother's knowledge. And they were taken for they were taken for all sorts of D&Cs. And when we made that conversation a topic, you guys remember what became more important for Nigerians. It was what someone said, not the topic itself. Nigerians, we need to tell ourselves the truth. There are fathers that are sleeping. Nima, please. There are fathers that are sleeping with their daughters, and they have neighbors. They have pastors. You all know. So it's not about those people. Yes, everybody's keeping quiet. We're all to blame. The thing is that when this happens, if a child, usually they say when someone is abused, when he grows up, he abuses another person. So if we don't do something about this now, this will just become widespread.
Miriam, thank you for that point. But also, I believe that every mother, your first job is to protect your child for as long as you can, from everybody, anything. Your loyalty should be to your child. So when something like this is happening to your child, I don't know the love that will keep you in that marriage. Or the shame. That means you are putting yourself first. How will people see me? Or maybe I failed as a mother. It's not about you. It's about the child. So the focus should be on that child. What is that child going through? How do I help this child to survive this?
What about
that should be the focus of a mother. No, start from the mother first. So I'm blaming all the mothers.
There was a movie,
The
50, that movie, where the woman knew her husband was sleeping with her daughter, but because of the wealth, made the daughter agree. And movies depict what happened in the society. The woman actually permitted it. So when a woman has already permitted this, that woman is no longer, we say, okay, you are not a mother.
You are evil.
You are evil.
You are not a
but
mother anymore.
how do we rescue that child in that situation? What should the society
Where
do
the
to
mother fails.
when the
What
mother
does
has
the
failed?
community come in?
It was the NGO. Remember, Abiyalu said that she was the one who did the first DNC for the child.
Yeah.
No, but it was not confirmed from the
No,
reporter.
it wasn't
Premium Times?
confirmed, but Premium Times
But the reporter just told us.
That's a detail that we didn't get from him, but
Yeah,
Premium
Premium
Times gave us that
gave
detail.
us, yeah.
Because, you know what, we are discussing
People do this dance
and
to cover the
must
shame.
discuss
How
it.
will you carry a pregnancy that belongs to your father?
Thank you.
Whose
We must
shame are you
discuss
covering?
it from all angles. So I met a person, a matron, who was telling me what she encountered when she ran a daycare.
Okay, okay.
So a stepchild from a previous marriage that the mother brought into the house started abusing her children.
Wow.
And anytime the young girl comes to school, she's not sitting comfortably. The attention of her mother was called, and she just cried and said, hey, and this thing, if I tell my husband now, he will send this boy out. Everybody has rejected him. She doesn't know what to do with the child. That you know. So sometimes our fear now is, how do I stay in this marriage?
They will say,
See, at that point in time, no matter how difficult it is,
That's cool.
focus should be
on the
on
child.
that victim who is being, abused like that. All focus and selfishly should be on that child. You see that thing that you want, that you're afraid to lose, you will lose it eventually.
at the end of the day.
Yes, you will lose it eventually. And that's why when we look at tradition, in those days, mothers were supposed to have screamed, immediately, abomination, and come out. So when it's found out that you are condoned in some way,
You are a part of
also
it.
ostracized.
You are a suspect, yes.
People will reject market from you, they will reject food from you, they will not deal with you because they think that you have accommodated and
You are a part of it
this
now,
kind of
a
thing.
part of the evil.
So it's difficult to look at it from one angle and just blame. I know the community is giving her a tough job to do, but I kind of I'm trying to think, while reading that, what could have been going on in their minds? So I went back to the stories that I've heard. I know a woman whose husband impregnated the 15-year-old. And when she was told, she was like, God forbid, within 2 weeks, her mind changed. She allowed him.
So, a 15-year-old.
How do we deal with women who are back and forth? What is straight is straight, no matter how tough it is.
How do we help such women?
How do you help?
Yes,
How do we help such women? Because it's not normal.
Okay.
It's not normal.
Yeah.
We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll try and wrap up this conversation. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Very pathetic story that we're covering. And the challenge we've been discussing during the break is the fact that, okay, so let's say we have a selfish mother who, protecting herself, decides to throw the daughter under the bus and says, I have to take care of myself. What can society do? Nima has already said, step in, report the case, speak up, don't keep quiet. But we also heard the story of somebody alleging that she took the daughter to have an abortion. And because abortion is religious-wise wrong, they're now castigating her for doing that. But and we've not had any phone call today. Please call us on 070-8066-8014. Guys, please, we'd like to hear your tweet at us too. We'd like to hear your own opinion on this because we want people to advise. I'm sure some mother is watching us right now who is debating how to report this situation or what to do or how to deal with a pregnant daughter who is pregnant for her father. What's the line of action, BC?
Hey, it's a very difficult situation to be in, to even imagine, because the first thing is, okay, they have taught us in church or religion that abortion is a sin. Now, number one, the sin, taboo, incest has been committed. You take the child to go and do the abortion, that's another sin. It's not murder, they call it. So it's very difficult for a mother to just sit and make all the decisions. Let's not forget that there are two people involved in this. The father is there as well. The father, on the other hand, may be threatening the woman that, okay, are you supposed to, do you want to go outside and tell them this is how, we have to cover it within the family? So the woman is actually under a lot of pressure on the next line of action. I would just advise, like the way this case has happened, I don't know who got in the this NGO, yes, who took over. They may be in the best position to offer solutions. Do we keep this baby? Do we have an abortion? Do we, and then follow on the law? But I am more particular about the man who committed this offense.
Yes.
He's in jail. Jail is not going to do anything. Jail has not deterred anybody. Every day we read in the papers how one man has, defiled a minor, defiled this and defiled that. Jail is not saving, is not helping anybody. They should be castrated straight up. Simple. People will sit up. That demon, when it starts telling you to go and touch your daughter, you remember that they will cut it off. You will repent. So it's not just about the woman. The man has been in jail, I think, since 2010 or so. He's been there. He's waking up, he's sleeping, he's eating. He has his life. And anything can happen tomorrow, and he's released back into the society. We should take stringent measures to make sure that people like this, when your ear tells you, you feel the punishment
is not stiff enough.
It's not stiff enough.
Nima, if a woman is found guilty of aiding and abetting this crime, what is the punishment that she's likely to get if they can prove that, if the daughter can say, mommy knew about this and mommy allowed daddy to continue doing this? What would happen to that woman so that somebody watching would be deterred from going ahead?
She's most likely going to get a softer term, but she's going to get a term.
Okay.
If she's assisted in, sort of helping. Some people hold down their daughters for their husbands. So if she's assisted in sort of helping, there's a section that we used to call section 7C back then in law, as law students. All subclauses of the section 7 of the criminal code then will bring you as an assistant, aider, and abetter into a crime that you partook in, assisting someone to get committed. Yes.
Do we have any tweets?
Of course. Brainbox says, some atrocious things that happen in our society make me want to conclude that the devil resides in Africa. I wouldn't want to say Nigeria because the heinous things we hear or see is not only applicable to Nigeria, but most African countries. Oluyomi Elegbede says, how come your you ladies thought the woman was going to be banished for reporting the evil act? Mary and pedophiles are shamed, arrested, and jailed when caught. Okay.
Yeah, so Preslina Kucho says the lady shouldn't be blamed, but the man, I think illiteracy played a major role in the woman because I know she was scared. Just imagine her living with the pains of fear of disgrace if she voiced out, and this boils down to disgrace. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, Omoyama says, where is the man from? Is he from the community? If he is, then let the family go and do the cleansing and let the woman be. The mother failed in protecting her child. This has been happening from the age of 8. It means she pays little or no attention to her girl child. And White Lion says, I think it would be right to take the girl out of that location. At least it will change the environment and give us some relief. It's very sad.
Bold Lion says, counseling should also be included in the school periodic timetable. TGIS will also help children speak up on issues of molestation and rape.
I feel so bad that we're still having judgmental tweets like that, saying the woman is responsible because she did not observe, because these are the reasons women would pull back from voicing out, because they feel that nobody will believe
failed.
I did not know. I think that the responsibility of protecting the child belongs to the father and the mother. So both parties should protect the child. To avoid, which is what happened the last time we had this discussion, the convention tilted to men shouldn't bait the child, and then we now took the drama and just took it off entirely. Because if we blame the woman for not observing, for trusting that her husband is a good man, and her husband will take care of the child, we blame the woman. And then the woman that now says, I don't trust, you blame that one too. What will you do? So at the end of the day, this conversation will not have any logical end if we keep on putting the blame and responsibility on one person. So one person committed a crime. That person should be blamed. If the woman aided the crime committed that crime, yes, she should be blamed. But if not, she is as well a victim of that man.
In Osun State, where a mother carried her child straight, ran like a mad woman to the hospital and got evidence that nailed the person that raped her child. That's the normal reaction.
That's what we should reiterate.
That's what we should encourage women to be focusing on. No matter the time that you find out, don't worry about what people will say, whether they will believe you. The first act that you should do as a mother is to run like a mad woman, like
Seek help.
My people say that nakedness, they fight. Run like that. Fight for your child. The world will later come to understand. They don't have to understand you immediately. Understand yourself. Understand your child.
And also,
do the right thing for your child.
In cases where both parents have failed, the community should also fight for the child. we have heard many stories of where the community will call these people aside and say, this is a family issue. Don't let the police hear about it. Let's cover this shame. So the community needs to also realize that they are complicit in this as well. You'll be aiding and abetting a pedophile if you don't speak up.
Please, I want to appeal that it's not every man out there or woman out there that is mentally sane. Some of these things is as a result of mental illness, because I do not see the attraction that will pull you, sexual attraction towards a young person or your own blood, flesh and blood. So if you as a woman, you notice that the person you're married to has coin, please, either you report him or you carry your kids, take your bag and leave the marriage. It's not by force. Some of us that are married will go to heaven or hell. Some that are not married will still go to heaven or hell. Pick your battle. That is just it.
You've heard it all. As we keep on saying it, if you're a mother, you know the line of action. Go to the hospital with the girl immediately. If you're a girl being abused and your parents have failed you, speak up and report. There are many NGOs that are willing to help out. And let the society not castigate or victimize the victim and the survivor of this crisis. That's what we can take on this topic. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll change the story. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. With the consistent heat period in Nigeria, especially within Lagos State and its environment, there's a report that reforestation needs to be encouraged to promote oxygen production and heat reduction. Our guests will be enlightening us on how reforestation can be promoted and how everyone can encourage reforestation in their homes, offices, environment at large. So joining us today is the General Manager, Lagos State Parks and Garden Agency, Adetoun Popoola. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the heat is terrible. I had to do, my husband and I, over the weekend, bought AC in my kids' room. And that was because every time I sleep, I feel guilty as I'm sleeping. Mainly because I didn't want us to be comfortable in the house. I want us to move. I'm like, we'll not be comfortable here. We're going to move from this place. No, let's not make this place comfortable. But right now, with that heat, we just have to get a bit more comfortable. But when preparing for the show, we realized that some of those things are man-made. The issues we're facing, the reason this heat is terrible and it's been getting worse every year is because we cut trees. We don't plant. What can we do individually to make this better?
Thank you. One of the things that we encourage is for people to plant trees in their houses. I remember growing up in my parents' house, we had coconut trees, we had the apple tree, and we had various trees that we used to climb, pick fruits from. But you know, what has happened is that people, because, you know, in terms of taking care of your house, you don't want to employ a gardener or someone that's going to be cleaning your house, then you then turn everything into a concrete jungle. You know, so there are really no more trees. And, you know, what is happening is some of these things are impacting on flooding. There's really no soil to absorb the rain, you know, when it's, and then the gutters are not wide enough. Some of them are clogged with debris and stuff like that. So trees are very important, you know, in our immediate environment, in urbanization. Yes, we want to build roads, we want to construct, we want to do all of that, but it's important to plant trees. In fact, the Lagos State Fiscal Planning law says that there's a certain percentage that should be earmarked for landscaping and planting. And you know, those are some of the things that we're going to be working together with these agencies to enforce. Because if you don't enforce it, people are just going to go and put in additional parking spaces, you know, and things like that.
Exactly. That's interesting because I've seen like government areas where they cut down the trees. So on the one hand, you're preaching that Nigerians should plant trees, and then when you come to your premises, you're cutting down trees because you want to pave the place for your VIP parking or things like that.
So the truth is, sometimes it's necessary to cut trees down. we're not saying we shouldn't urbanize, we're not saying we shouldn't develop, but like I said, there's a certain, there's 20% of it should be landscaped, right? So that includes trees. So yes, you would construct, you would do but you must earmark those spaces. And then apart from your personal premises, we're talking about the roads, you know, the avenues. So if you see some of the, at least if you see Alausa area, right down Mobolaji Johnson Avenue, you see trees.
But it's not happening in Nima's area.
What area is this?
Are they landscaping your area?
So we're working with the community, the communities, the local governments to plant. We have various reasons why we plant trees. So in Laspark, we encourage people to plant trees to commemorate their birthdays, anniversaries, special occasions. We work with NGOs a lot. In fact, on 21st of March, that's one of the first major mass planting activities that we're going to be doing this year is the International Day of Forests. And we're working with an organization called My Roots In, and like a Pan-Tropicana Beach Forest Resort, where we'll be planting over 1,000 trees. Yes, on their premises. And one of the reasons why we're happy to work with like a Pan on this is because we're sure that those trees will be safe and they'll be maintained and they will survive. Because it's not just enough to plant trees; those trees must survive. Yes, exactly. So, you know, when we do that and we do it and we replicate, I mean, for us in Laspark, we've had this target to plant 10 million trees, right? And we have to complete 10 million by the end of this year.
Where would you buy it? Where would you plant it? Lagos, we don't have, where is the space?
Spaces. So for example, the road medians. So you're going down Lekki Admiralty Way now. There are road medians there. It should be greened and there should be trees planted.
Areas needs more trees.
Exactly.
Yeah, it does.
Because what trees also do is that they absorb heat. They absorb carbon. So even, especially in the places where there are a lot of industrial companies, if you go to the free trade zone now, we're going to be going in that way and planting.
Where are you focusing there? The industries are in a mode of...
No, so I gave that as an example.
The
Yes.
entire community in Oriade is commercialized, and we even spoke about it with the deputy governor when he was here. The state is aware of the commercial activities, the number of companies there, emission and all that happening right there. So why focus
No, that's not the only focus. I was just giving that as an example. We're going to be planting trees everywhere. In fact, yesterday I got a call from an NGO that they want to plant 1 million trees this year. And so we're helping them to identify locations where we can plant trees. Also the types of trees that we plant. So we don't plant trees that are fouling electric cables and things like that. We need to be sure that the species we're planting, the planting sites are the right places. And then once the rains come, those trees that have been planted, we're also responsible for pruning them and ensuring that, because of the rains, the windstorms, they don't fall over, they don't do... So as much as you will plant, you also need to maintain the trees as well.
So, growing up, we used to visit those very rich men who, their compounds, they have a lot of trees. And then we're not using this concrete for our floors. The sands are there. We gather outside to play with the sand. You see children playing, cooking with sands and all of that. And over time, it seemed like the people who had money now started doing concretes and taking out all the trees just to make it look more modern and classy. And now it seems like we're confused again. We're going back to nature all of a sudden. So, but I am particular about the private individuals who there is no space to plant any form of tree in your house. You have covered everything. What can you do to?
Okay, so I said earlier that the fiscal planning law mandates a minimum of 20% landscaping. So we can enforce. We can go to those places, or we can go straight to the fiscal planning and then go into these places, go with building control agency. There are laws already.
So when you say 20%, it means like that's they can do the small area in front, because I know that in Magodo here, there's a green zone area where they compel every house to put that small green lawn in the front of their fence. So is that good enough?
No, that's not good enough. That place outside your fence is actually belongs to the state. Those road setbacks have been put there so that when there's a need to expand the roads, that can happen with that kind of space. So two things happen. One, that as a tenement, your property owner or you reside in a property, you're expected to landscape the perimeter area of your premises. That's one.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. So parking, that space is not created for parking. However, you can create spaces for parking and still landscape.
Okay.
So you can put, you can put like medians between that.
Tell us the advantages, because some people listening to you now will not understand why they should invest into this thing.
So there are certain areas where you have the developers get a plot of land and put 4 structures with just one parking space or two parking space.
Yeah. Park on the road.
And then, so where do you park if you have to carve out a portion of that?
Some of those things people don't. So when physical planning approved, they take into cognizance things like that. Some of these people go outside of what has been approved, and that's why you see sometimes people when Laspark building control, they go and they mark X's on people's buildings. Those are the kind of reasons why those things are happening. But I was saying, apart from the perimeter, inside your building as well, it's not enough to do outside. Inside your building, you must maintain 20% at least 20%. On landscaping, planting, and things like that.
Okay. You've got into that part where the worries me, the town planning and physical planning. Yes, we know they're an agency, we only see them on paper. We hardly see, proper town planning laws. When I was growing up, I was born on Western Avenue. You could hardly see people spring up buildings anyhow. Town planning will go around every day. You cannot build on a drainage. They will not allow that building stand. But where I live now, anything goes. In fact, there's hardly enforcement. People do build houses without creating drainages. People build houses without having proper sockways for their waste. People build houses without even providing for how waste will be taken. And when you're having a conversation, you look like a stranger. It seems like this one, because you have 2 heads. so you look like a stranger. It's because there's hardly
enforcement.
Not enough. Before enforcement, advocacy. So that only a few individuals are the ones shouting, and they think these people have gone abroad. Me, I've never even received it. These people have gone abroad, and it's because they have gone abroad, that's why they think those things work here. How do you want to encourage that, this advocacy for proper town planning, the kind of city we want to have is properly pushed out there, so that even the most common man, the most illiterate layman out there can understand and own it?
Okay. The good thing is that the present administration, Mr. Governor, has put people in place that will bring a lot more vibrancy and action to government. I'm sure I heard you reading the Mile 2 thing. A lot of things have gone wrong, and that's the truth, if we must be honest with ourselves. And a lot of enforcement is going on. But before you can enforce, you like you said, you have to do advocacy. You have to educate people. A lot of people don't understand why they should do this or they should do that. Everybody just feels, right now we have a portion of land around Iba that we're trying to beautify, right? That portion has been taken over by traders, and they claim that they've been there for years, and then we cannot all of a sudden come.
It must be the last one.
We cannot all of a sudden come and say we want to beautify that.
Take them
exactly. So we've gone back and forth. We've talked to them. We've begged them. We've encouraged them to go into the market. So I'm sure a lot of changes are going to be happening within the next few months and years. It's painful, because people are used to what they're used to. So it looks like. Exactly, to the wrong thing. So it looks like, government doesn't like us, they don't care about us. But the truth is, are you supposed to be there? Are you supposed to have done these things? Unfortunately, people have been able to get away with things, but I think the story is changing.
Okay, so once again, I want us to... ask your question.
Okay, so I know that for, last year, I planted a tree. There's this group that I work with, Greening Campaign, and they also have the campaign to grow millions and millions of trees. But as Nima was saying, we have a group of people who do not understand why they should do it. And I was at Lekki Conservation Center, and sometimes they say what they do with people like that is they give them some form of incentive. So where they would use that place for their trade activities, they will provide somewhere else for them. What is Laspark doing for people like that? Like are you going to relocate them? Are you going to give them incentives for when you plant a tree, you get something to encourage people, apart from just educating them? What other ways?
So truthfully, like I said, you're not supposed to be there. So I'm not sure what incentive I will give you to say...
Infringing.
Exactly. You're already infringing. You're already...
Okay, that's one.
There are environmental laws, and you know, apart from the environment, you know, we're also talking about traffic impact. Those are some of the reasons why there's traffic, you know, because you've converted half of the road. If you go to Ikorodu Road sometimes, you see even on the BRT lane, in the evenings, people come out and they're selling gala right there on the BRT lanes. You're putting your health at risk. You're putting yourself at risk. You know, you have children, you know, with you, and then they're running across the road. Those are kind of things that we're trying to avoid. So I'm not sure of the incentive that we'll be giving those kind of people. But in terms of advocacy, you know, we're starting from the grassroots. We're going to be working with the Ministry of Education to go to the schools. And because, for example, my kids, we live in an estate, and thankfully there's a big field that they can go and play. I like for them to play outdoors, you know, because you can make all your noise there and all of that. And by the time you come back in, you're exhausted. A lot of places, a lot of children don't have those opportunities. A lot of estates.
So what is Laspark doing in the olden days? Because I grew up in the Jakonde estate in Iba, and in that estate, when we moved in 1991. We had a play park zone. So they had zone A, zone B, zone D park. There was sand, we could slide, we could fall. I love climbing trees, and we did all of that. I visited the area recently for my friend's 40th. I was just looking like this. Everywhere is shop, iron shop, this, that, mosque, church, everybody, everything. The children no longer have playgrounds. The car park that was supposed to be a car park is where children ride their bicycles and at the risk of cars. What are you doing to return some of this?
So 2 things that we're doing. One is, one of our core mandates actually is to take over open spaces and turn them into recreational facilities and parks. So we currently have 10 parks and gardens. We have different types of parks. So we have recreational parks, we have scenic parks. I don't know if you've gone through Marina recently. So between Akpombo and the end of Marina, under the bridge, that whole place is now been landscaped.
I've seen it.
Scenic park, like, so you just beautiful go there. It's just scenery. Nice to look at. You can sit.
Like when the BC will be paying for car parking.
200 naira.
Well, we have to provide parking. So some places, like I said, for scenic parks, there's really no parking in Coast. So it's somewhere that you can just walk to and sit. But if you're going to a recreational park, walk to and sit. But if you're going to a recreational park, of course, you have to park. And so that's why...
Quickly, what's your plan with the schools? Because I know that one of the ways to change the mindset of people is to bring it to their children. So children are taught in schools that it's important to plant trees.
So are you going to schools?
When they get home, they harass their parents. That's what they do. So what's your plan?
So the Lagos State Ministry of Environment is working intensively on a school advocacy program. Thankfully, all the other agencies under the Ministry of Environment, you know, are part of it. I think in a few weeks there's this environmental B program where schools are going to come to a place and then have talks about ecology, environmental protection, health and sustainability.
That's interesting. So we can see that on your website, or are you on Twitter, social media?
Social media, Instagram, we're Laspark Lagos.
Laspark Lagos. People can get in touch with you and find out what you're doing. Okay, so what about the smallest plants? Do they make any impact for people that have in their houses? Can they have those small pots of plants?
Yes, there are many plants that have different health benefits. Some of them, you feel cooler when you're around the plants, live plants, not artificial plants. You know.
Fantastic. But can we hope we can get the information on those kind of plants, because some people cannot plant a tree, but they want to know those plants. So we would like you to share the species and all of those on social media. We will definitely want to follow you and learn more. Great to have you on the show. Heard you are on my party and also Class 2020.
I heard.
Good. All right, that's how we can take on today's show. I hope you learned something and you will plant a tree today. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow.
Bye.